Hey there. So, my next guest is an indie game developer who has been kind of working toward putting out the game he's talking about in this interview for years and years and years. He walks us through the process of how he kind of learned step by step everything he needed to learn in order to get here. And it's absolutely a blast. I loved having this conversation. I know you're all going to love it too. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, I have a very special guest with us. I have Adham Jaber. How's it going, Adam?
Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. And where do you hail from?
I'm hailing you from Spain, from Seville.
Beautiful. All right, Adam. So I like to get the show started just getting right into it. So why don't you begin by just telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm an indie game developer. I've been an indie game developer for 14 years, and it's been my passion. It's been what I wanted to do. Oops.
It's all good.
1 second, sorry. I messed that up, didn't I?
No, it's all good. So, indie game developer, what's your company name?
Give Me to Play. That's the name that everybody knows me by, and it's my own company. An individual game developer. I do hire freelancers as well when I need to and when I can, of course. And then other than that, I'm just doing things on my own.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right. So before we kind of get into talking about game development, talking about you, I start every interview with a single question. So I'm going to ask you, just like I ask everybody else, yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you?
I guess, like, to be honest, I think 8.
Why is that?
Because I feel kind of weird around people. I don't think the same. I don't have the same kind of feelings about everything going around. So that makes me feel kind of weird, and something like that.
Sure thing. Okay. So this is the Gamerpreneur podcast. So I do need your gaming cred. When did you first start playing video games?
Oh, that was when we were very young. I would say like 12 years old or 11 years old. We would sneak at night and turn the PC on or turn like the console on. We had the Atari, and then we would just start playing in the middle of the night without our parents catching us. And it was something that attracted me into that world, that you can just do whatever you want and you're not limited by anything. It's just creativity after creativity, games and all that stuff. It was so attractive to me, and I really just kept going on that, kept wanting to do something with that, even if I studied something else, which I did, finish university with a different degree, but I just kept something in my head about that. And when the time was right, I knew it was going to happen and I was going to get involved in games. So
I love it. And so you set out and you created your own indie studio. What do you play today, if anything, other than your own game?
Yes, I actually play Sea of Thieves. I just got into it. I really love the game and I was really looking forward into playing it. I also play Rocket League. I play that a lot. Whenever I have a spare 15, 20 minutes, I'm just Rocket Leaguing and just getting some adrenaline going to keep going, with work and stuff like that. I also like to play The Hunter, Call of the Wild. I stream that as well because I stream sometimes on Twitch. So I was playing The Hunter, Call of the Wild most of the time. These are mainly the games I'm playing right now.
Fantastic. All right. Now, you've had the ability to play pretty much every game that's ever come out. So if you had to pick one game out of all of them to say is your all-time favorite, which one is it?
It's a tough question. And I thought about that a lot. I would say right now would be Rocket League. Yeah,
Okay.
because
And
it's an agile game. It's something that requires a lot of time, if you want to get skillful. But at the same time, you can just go chill for 15, 20 minutes and get a really nice boost of adrenaline going. So this is what I like.
beautiful. All right. So that enough about games. Let's talk about you and your
Yeah,
game.
sure.
um, so how about this? Why don't we begin by you tell us a little bit about your background first and what kind of got you to where you're at now?
Yes, right. So, first of all, I studied in the university as a travel agent, right? And then I was sitting in the office issuing tickets for people to go have fun, basically. So that was not going to work. But something inside me was drawing my attention towards art, towards graphic, towards animation. I really loved that area. So I started taking some courses. I bought a course for $20 at cartoonsmart.com, which was one of the most inspiration that got me into this world. I bought that package from, I think the guy's name was Jason or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry if it's wrong. So yeah, he sent me the package, and it was a package of how to animate, how to draw in Flash, and how to start making some art on your own. So I started making some animations, some art in Flash, and I really got into the graphic art industry. At one point, I evolved enough so that a printing press hired me as a graphic designer. So at that point, I was like, okay, I learned something for myself. I found the course. I invested $20, and then I'm now earning money from what I learned. So something ticked in my mind and told me, okay, well, if I want to do anything, well, the trick is there. Just go, like, sit down, learn it, and then you will be able to do something with it. And this is basically my, how what do you call it? This is how, like, one second. Um, sorry. This is like my objective, not my objective, but my purpose, kinda.
Okay.
Like, I want to learn things and I want to make them work for me, right? So, okay, we're going off subject, I think, a
No,
little
no,
bit.
no. You're doing
Yes.
fantastic. So you were hired on by this printing company in order to be a graphic designer.
Mhm.
And how did you go from there to starting your own indie company?
Yes, exactly. So I traveled to Spain, and then I started also a course here, which was also focused on graphic design and printing, because I thought, okay, I want to continue in that field. But then something nice in Flash happened, and this is when you learn animation in Flash, you also have to learn a little bit of coding, right? Because you want to stop the animation, you want to play it, you want to skip some frames sometimes, you want to like the buttons also use a little bit of code and stuff. So the code part was kind of like calling to me, because I felt that I can be creative writing stuff, like just by moving frames and simple stuff with the code. I felt very powerful. Let's say it like that. And I started wanting to want to be more of a programmer, and I wanted to focus more on that. And yeah, so one thing that happened is that the school that I was learning in wanted to send me to practice with for a company. So instead of going to practice, I actually convinced them that I was able to do a program that converts newspaper, like the PDF that you send for printing. You just give me the PDF. I'll make a program that converts that into a book, a virtual book, because it was about how yeah, the paper is gonna stop being used, and we're gonna all go to the online world. And they wanted to do something in that direction. And yeah, we said, so, okay. I was like, I can do it. I didn't even know how to program like good or anything. But I was like, yeah, I can do it. Of course I can do it. It was like 14, 15 years ago. And yeah, basically I started doing that, and I started the practice, and I started just learning, just using the same trick that I told you before about just if you want to learn something, it's already there. Just go for it, learn from it. And even if you don't see any benefits from it right now, in the future, you will see, okay, yes, I learned that skill and now it's coming in handy. And yeah, it's just like a whole puzzle in that direction. But yeah, so to not go off topic too much, I started getting very interested in programming, and I was like, okay, this is really wonderful. And my ability to make graphics as well and some animations and all that contributed so much because I could envision something, envision how I wanted to move, how I wanted to function, and all that stuff, and then make it happen, which of course called the attention of clients and sponsors and people that were wanting to pay money for that content. So yeah, basically I went online one day and I saw this article about flashgamelicense.com. And flashgamelicense.com was a website where it connected developers with sponsors. So I was like, okay, I got Flash here. I got programming, a little bit of programming. I got animation and art, and I got people that are willing to pay money for that stuff. I got it. I got the connection. Of course, I didn't realize it was going to be so hard. There are so many challenges. The road is just not one simple line. There's a lot of bumps, a lot of stuff that happen. But yes, anyway, I went with Flash Game License. And it was an awesome experience because I got to know a lot of awesome people. I got to have sponsors, people willing to pay money for my games. And my first game, which was based on the Jumanji movie. Actually, it was a board game with a little lizard that moves to I think it had like 55 tiles or 60 tiles. I'm not entirely sure. And each tile had like a puzzle, and then you throw the dice and it moves to a puzzle, and then you lose a life or you solve the puzzle. Simple stuff. And I sold it for $50, But that $50 was like for me, yes, I can do this. I can do this. I did it before with the art, and I'm doing it now with games and programming and all that stuff. And since young, I always wondered how games work. Who is that crazy guy sitting behind the computers and making everything work? Like I always imagined some crazy guy sitting in a round table with all screens around him and just punching buttons. And I was like, yeah. And I don't know how to say it, but I feel that I'm that weird, crazy guy.
I love it.
So, yeah.
All right. So that's a fantastic backstory. So what's your current project then, if you don't mind?
Yes. Well, now that Headworms is released, of course, we are working on improving every aspect of it. So we're looking for everybody who's watching it, and everybody who's streaming it, and we see if they are encountering trouble and all that stuff, improving into that game.
But can you tell us a little bit about the game first, please?
Yes. Well, the game plays in a mental institution, in a mental research institution, right? And the player is going to go through traumas. And these kind of traumas are designed to build your anxiety, let's call it like that. And to be perfectly honest, I use my own anxiety recipe into the game. So which means I try to develop the most anxious part, or the most annoying part when I was most annoyed, if that makes any sense. It's just because, as they say, when you cook, if you're cooking with love, it's going to come like perfect with love and stuff. But if you're cooking with hate, it's going to be messed up. So I cooked up a little bit these tense moments, let's say, with anxiety. Because, I have some anxiety. It has not been easy at all. Most of the project, I had to develop it on my own with my own resources until A4 came and they said, yeah, we see what you're doing, we believe in you. And I really thank them for that. And I thank that somebody is believing in me and that. And they were like funding me so that I can make this project happen. And yeah, so we're working on making Headworms as best as possible, as enjoyable as possible, and also as scary as possible. It involves puzzles. Basically, you're solving puzzles, but they're not static puzzles. So you're not faced with the same kind of puzzles over and over and over. It's always changing. So sometimes you're hiding. Sometimes you gotta be careful about the noise you're making. Sometimes it's about whether you are seen or not. So um, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's just a game that keeps you attentive. You have to be attentive. You have to pay attention to that. The level is changing. The gameplay mechanics is changing a little bit. You cannot just say, yeah, I'm just going, I'm already scared once. It's not going to scare me again because it's not going to work, So, yes, and we do have plans for Headworms multiplayer. I'm not gonna tell too much about that until we announce it, but we felt as well that the players said that the game was a little bit short, something that we are working on, and we want to make sure that okay, well, if the players felt that the game might have been short, well then maybe we should introduce a multiplayer, give them a more chance to explore the game, give them more content, and this is my plan right now. We are gonna do it, and yeah, hopefully
Fantastic.
everything goes well.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay, so let's I don't want you revealing stuff you're not supposed to be revealing. That's totally fine. Let's talk about kind of the business side of this, because
Mhm.
you just came out with this new game, and can we like talk about how did you get somebody to fund this? Like how are you marketing this? How, like, what are the other
Mhm.
things that aren't the design, the development that go into promoting and pushing out a game like this?
Yes, well, it is actually pretty difficult, especially when we are a new team and starting up with this game. We need a lot of resources, and most of the resources it means we need to build connections with people. We need people to see what we are able to do and hopefully like it. We are willing to collaborate with people, collaborate with content creators. We just want to be active, right there. And maybe the, like, let's say the sales, the market, the money and all that stuff doesn't come now, and it doesn't have to. We really just want to focus to be part of the community, basically. Like, I'm myself a Twitch streamer, I'm a gamer. I'm just so much in the community that I don't know. I just want to make something. I'm even sometimes thinking about, the streamers I'm watching. I'm thinking about the people that I'm talking to when I'm doing the games, because I'm thinking like, are they gonna enjoy it? Are they gonna enjoy this? Are they gonna critique this? More than okay, let's make a product, let's push a product towards the player. And it is a little bit disappointed that we could not get the reach enough, because we want people to know about it. We want people to enjoy it. We want people to tell us if they did, if they didn't, so that we can improve it. And yeah, basically, our goal here is to start a game development team or a company. With that, we can push more games, we can create more content, and hopefully we get the support from the community to do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had a long and storied career that got you to this point.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people out there who have aspirations to become a developer. They all, there's a lot of people who want to, and they're putting out attempts. But
Yeah.
what makes you different? Because you did it. You were able to pull this off. Do you have a unique
Yes.
skill or talent that got you here?
Yes, being stubborn. Basically, it takes a lot of work. I think that the main thing that helps me is that I'm stubborn, that I want to do this, whatever it takes. So In the past year, I had to take jobs. As I'm still taking jobs, I'm still working with companies. I'm still forming, like working with other teams and helping other people with their technical needs. Because I also need to fund myself, to keep going. And like, for example, the first part of this project was basically on me. So I was working for companies, trying to get money and putting into the project and trying to make it. So basically, it's just do not go to sleep, just keep working, long nights, and you gotta enjoy it. That's I think that's the key. If you do not enjoy like making this, you do not enjoy engaging into this world, it's gonna be difficult because it is also difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I got depressions. I feel bad sometimes. It's not been easy at all, and but we're gonna make it. And we still, I don't consider that I'm successful yet, not by far. I still have a long way to go. There's a lot of people that also need to be successful for me to be successful because they deserve it. They helped me along the way emotionally and also with the game. And is all these people also like I don't know how to say it, but they also need to be successful for me to be successful. We all need to see something coming out of it. Um, so basically, yeah, I
Okay.
might have went left and right,
That's
but
all right. Now, so you have been, or how long have you had the studio, or how long have you been developing Headworms?
yeah, for headworms for about a year.
Okay.
Yes, and A4 got involved in about like August of last year. So the last 3 to 4 months
Okay.
of
So
the
you've been working
project.
on the game for about a year. If you could
Yes,
go back in time and you could
yes,
talk to yourself, a little over a year ago before you ever started making this project,
yes.
and you could give yourself any advice that you think is necessary in order to make it faster, better, more effective to increase the reach, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, I would tell myself a lot of things actually. But I think the main thing that I will tell myself, trust my instinct, you know? Just trust my instinct, stop wasting time, stop doubting everything, just go with it, because there was a lot of times I was just gonna give up because it's just no use, I'm never gonna get somebody to look at this project. I still have messed up ideas. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with that? How am I going to connect this to that? So there are a lot of things that uh, go into your head. It's not just like the actual challenges, but things that go into your head. Like, what am I doing? Who even wants this? And but then you just gotta keep going. You just gotta think, okay, no, you gotta keep going. You gotta trust your intuition. You gotta trust what you thought in the beginning. When you decide something in a good mind, in a good state of mind, when you're in a bad state of mind, do not change it, you know, because when you just make a right decision, stick with it, even if it doesn't feel right, even if it's not what you want to do, but just wake up, get to it, don't think about anything else, and it will happen. Basically, yeah. So
Okay.
stubbornness and with all this combination.
Fantastic. Now, do you have any advice for anybody out there who might be interested in going into game development? I mean, you've kind of been picking at it for years now, learning little bits and pieces, but is
Yes.
there anything in particular that you think somebody who wants to go into this needs to know?
Yes, I think they should not be discouraged by the many failures they will meet. They should not be discouraged by people telling them their game is not good and they're not doing it nice and all that stuff, because it will happen. As well, I advise that people do not start making the biggest and the smartest game possible. Start something simple, something enjoyable, something you can handle, feel the satisfaction out of it. You will want to make more. unless you really are in love with making games, this is the recipe, because else it's just frustration because you want to do this and that. And if you do not love it enough, you will not continue. So
Okay.
basically, that would be my advice. Yeah.
Now, kind of bouncing off the point you were making there about failure, I believe that we learn most in our life from our failures, not necessarily our successes, because you might succeed and not realize what happened. But if you fail, it's pretty easy to figure out what went wrong and then be able to correct it. So I'd like to ask you, what do you consider
Yes.
your biggest failure in life, and what did you learn from it?
Yes. Well, I think my biggest failure was my last game, which was called Horror in the Asylum, which is another horror game. It's on Steam, but it has negative reviews, and for a very good reason. Yes, it was my biggest failure, not because this game is not horrible. I mean, the game is okay, but it lacks a lot of main features that should be there, like save game and checkpoints and all that stuff. Why is it my biggest failure? I did fail bigger than this, and I do consider bigger failures like much bigger, but the thing is that the other failures were not something I regret. The other failures in my life were something that needed to happen for me to be here today. But this one because was of my own fault, because I did not break out of a state of mind to make the game in the proper way. So I say this is my fault that the game did not come out well, and this is my biggest failure. Not anything else I did, which I messed up a lot, right? But I do not consider that failure because that gave me exactly what I needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Now, kind of on the flip side of that, what is something you're working to improve on in yourself today?
Yes, a little bit my temper. Sometimes I'm not that enjoyable to be around, to be honest. And it's because sometimes you get a lot of pressure, and I don't consider myself very good at going into looped conversation, if that makes sense, like the conversation that has no meaning, no result, and no direction. So I might be a little bit difficult to deal with, let's say.
Okay. Now, kind of like a fun question before we start bringing this in for a landing. Kind of on that point, you say you're a little difficult to get along with.
Yes.
What do you think something is that people misunderstand about you, or what do they misunderstand about you when they first meet you?
Yes. I think people think that I'm difficult, right? And I know I am difficult, but to be honest, I'm not that difficult. Does that make it weird? 8 or 9 already?
I think that's pretty average, honestly. All right.
Yeah.
So, Adham, this has been a fantastic interview. How do people find you? How do they get to your game? How do they get to your studio? Where are you at on social media? All of that, please.
Yes. Well, mainly right now we are concentrated on Twitter. You can find us at HeadwormsG or at GMP Video Games. And you can also find me on Twitch, Give Me to Play. And Headworms, you can find it on Steam, of course. These are our main, let's say, social media platforms right now.
Beautiful. All right. Now, as we wrap this up, do you have any final thoughts you want to share, or anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
Well, actually, before you asked me all the questions I had, but you actually covered it. So I think we're good.
All right. Well, in that case, thank you so much for coming on with us today. I genuinely do appreciate it.
Thank you. I do appreciate it as well, for the opportunity and for everything, for the fun as well.
Of course. All right. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.